Hello and welcome to Beyond Graves and Stars, the horror and sci-fi movie podcast. We look at lots of movies, franchises, remakes, horror and sci-fi based. Currently working our way through the Trancers franchise, the Phantasm franchise and the House franchise. This is the second episode of a look at the four House movies. Once again, I'm joined by Ian Porter, a graphic designer. He designed the logo for this show. Really into his movies, especially time travel movies. And watch this space because he'll be doing stuff on that very soon. I'll keep you informed. What we done was we individually watched part 3, spoke about that. Then together we watched part 4 and spoke about that. I'd seen these movies before, but didn't remember much of them. Ian hadn't seen these movies before, so we chat about those. And to be honest, I really enjoyed them. The third movie takes a different route for the franchise, and the fourth one sort of tries to go back to the original winning format. Anyway, give them a watch if you haven't already. This is the conversations we had about House Part 3 and House Part 4. Vowing revenge on the detective who apprehended him, serial killer Meat Cleaver Max returns from beyond the grave to launch a whole new reign of terror. House 3, the horror show. Yeah. Ian, welcome back.
Thank you.
Our second episode, and this will be the third House movie that we've talked about. If you haven't listened to part 1 where we talk about House and House 2, I suggest you do it, but you don't really need to understand this movie because it's completely different, isn't it?
It is completely different, yeah.
It's all new characters, no connection at all with the original movie. In America, this movie was just called The Horror Show, and no house title on it. The studio, I think it was MGM, wanted to sort of rebrand the franchise and focus on a new serial killer, Max. The meat cleaver, who dies at the beginning of the movie. He is put in the electric chair and comes back to basically mess with the detective who caught him. And it's I really enjoyed this, but it's different. And Ian, was it what you expected?
No, it's not. Not at all. I mean, we can generally assume that it's going to be about a house, but it kind of isn't really about the house,
No.
is it? There's a house in it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't what I expected. But to be honest, I thought I really did enjoy it. It was definitely a proper sort of slasher supernatural ride, and I wasn't quite expecting that. And I actually was saying I think the acting was pretty good in it. It was a good. There's a good cast, and I mean, it was still a bit hammy, but I think it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's from director James Isaac, who comes from a visual effects background. He has so far directed 4 movies. One called Pig Hunt, never heard of it. One called Skinwalkers, never heard of it. And Jason X, have heard of it.
Yeah.
The 10th Jason film is the Marmite of the Friday the 13th franchise. This is the one in space, which I think is wicked. You can tell he comes from a visual effects background. There's loads of practical effects in this movie. Some effects work better than others, but overall, for a low budget movie, I think it looked pretty cool. And I saw an interview with Kane Hodder, who we mentioned was in, I think he's in the first 2, but we spotted him in the second one. He's a stunt guy in this. He done a lot of the stunts for the Max character, the killer, who's played by Brian James, who has 114 credits on Letterboxd, so that's probably movies and probably a few documentaries, so that's not including TV stuff he's done. Probably most well known for being in Blade Runner. He was
Yeah,
quite a memorable few scenes in that.
Yes, yeah.
And also The Fifth Element. I do remember him being in that.
Was he in The Fifth Element?
Yeah. But loads of stuff, familiar face. Always the villain, it seems.
Yeah.
I think he's great in this. Yeah. And he's given some one-liners, which kind of cool. And I wrote some of them down, but I can't seem to find them in my notes. But he says some funny stuff while attempting to kill people. The main lead is played by legend Lance Henriksen, who plays Detective Lucas McCarthy. His family members are played by Rita Taggart, who plays his wife Donna, who's also been in loads of stuff. China Syndrome, 1941. She's in Mulholland Drive. But I only watched that fairly recently and can't remember being in it. And the daughter is played by Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who is Michelle Pfeiffer's sister. And I wouldn't have known that. I don't think they look that alike. No. She was also in Falling Down and was... Do you remember the sitcom with Sybil Shepherd just called Sybil?
I do.
Yeah, she was the daughter in that.
Oh, okay. And
the son, Scott, is played by Aaron Einzenberg. I think his name... My handwriting is terrible. I do apologise. Wrote it last night. He was in Puppet Master 3 and one of the Amityville sequels. 2 films... Well, franchises we were talking about before recording this for future stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I like the teenagers in this. They're very stereotypical. The son, he listens to his heavy metal music, always got his headphones on. Yeah. And the daughter, basically, all she worries about is dating.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend in it, Vinny, who was in Night of the Creeps, which is a great horror film. I recommend that. It's directed by the legend Fred Decker, who we mentioned in the RoboCop because he'd done the third one, which is terrible, but he'd done that Monster Squad. So, he unfortunately, David Oliver, passed away a few years after this. He died of AIDS, very early age, I think he was early 30s. But yeah, in the 80s, that was, around the time Freddie Mercury died, and they didn't know how to treat it really. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on the sadness of the movie. But I thought he was pretty good in it. I thought all the cast were good. I think in this movie, it's just, acting-wise, it's a step up from the other two.
I think so.
And it has to be because it's not as silly. They've left most of the comedy out. It's a straight horror film. Bit of a cult classic now. The reviews aren't good. It came out to modest reviews, but it was very similar to the movie Shocker by Wes Craven that came out a few years before, or maybe the same year, where another serial killer gets electrocuted and comes back. There was a film called First Prowler with Lou Diamond Phillips, same premise, and it's not unlike a film that you recommended to me a while ago called Prison.
Oh yeah, Prison. Yeah. I thought I was going to say that. It's quite similar in respects, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was in 1987. So that was before this. So maybe it borrows too heavily from some other movies, but it's got 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 2.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And do you want to guess its percentage on Rotten Tomatoes?
I'm guessing 14, 15.
0%, really? Which I think is really unfair.
Oh, that is unfair. It's not that.
We've sort of summarised the plot. There's a lot of dream sequences, and it's probably a slight fault, I'd say, is I think it relies on dream sequences too much. Just when some gore or something's happening, it pulls away and it's a dream.
Yeah.
Happens quite a few times. But early on, we will do slight spoilers, there is a scene where a little girl gets her head cut off.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, how did they get away with this? And then that's a dream.
Yeah.
And later on, it reveals that possibly could have happened because the dreams are flashbacks to when he caught.
It's a clever way, isn't it, of using the dream. I'm not a huge fan where there's like a whole dream sequence in films. I think it can be quite a cop-out. But when you're controlling it like that in a way of sort of saying, we haven't definitively said, like, this girl got her head cut off, which was, by the way, a very surprisingly brutal scene, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mentioned the sort of one-liners and funny lines. And one that stands out, I have found, I made a note of it, when Max is killed, he gets killed in an electric chair, which is a brutal scene. It takes a while to kill him. And then the makeup effects on his face and stuff look great of it. But his last words are to the detective, Lucas McCarthy. He looks at him and just goes, "I'm coming back to fuck you up." And which I thought was funny. And he's on fire when he says it as well.
But I like just before then, when he got the first zap.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, that just gave me a heart on. And then they said, crank it up. He goes, yeah, crank it up.
Yeah. Now, Brian James, is clearly having fun with playing this role. He mentioned earlier he's been in so many films, but he said in interviews that it's his favourite role to play. He really loved it, and I think the studio wanted this character to go on and become like a Freddy Krueger type.
Yeah.
Which you could see happening.
But the other Freddy Krueger was already in the limelight there, so
yeah,
I guess
but they were looking to the studio was looking for their version of it. Like Jason, and not many of them broke through to do too many. You've got like Leatherface and Pinhead, but not to the extent of Freddy Krueger. You can see why they'd want that. And as I said before, I like that the franchise has got different stories. It's like an anthology, really, but it's a different story each movie. Other things to mention. There's a weird bit with Electricity of Evil. They're on about how evil is like electricity, and that's how he comes back. It's a bit bizarre. I'm not sure it makes too much sense, but
and I think you don't really know. What I like about it is that you, at the beginning, you don't know whether it is just a straight-on slasher movie. It could be.
Yeah.
It turns out it's more of a supernatural slasher movie, and then it's a ghostly, and the way that his character comes back, in corporeal form, is like he can toggle between being electricity or real. It's it's just interesting.
It's kind of, if you're into 80s horror, it's cool. The whole supernatural side of it is bizarre, but it works, and it's very the House franchise, the original ones. They're haunted houses, so there's ghost spirits. So I suppose that links it a bit, because he's come back from the dead. But I want to mention some of the effects, because some of it was brilliant. There's a couple of times you see the character's face, and there's a bit where they're eating a turkey, and it sort of moves, and then his face pushes through the turkey.
Yeah.
It's not unlike the scene in Nightmare on Elm Street with the wall, and you see Freddy's face come over the bed and push through the wall, and I thought that them effects looked absolutely fantastic. Another effect I want to mention, but I'm going to backtrack a bit here. There's some questionable bits in the movie, especially involving the daughter, because it says she's 17. The actress is clearly older, and there's a shower scene, and you see her in the nude, which I don't think you do nowadays with a 17-year-old character.
No.
But I will. I don't even have to check it. I know the actress is over 18.
Yeah.
You need to probably about 25, to be honest. So that was weird. But there's also, this is an 18 certificate, and the first of the franchise to be an 18. I actually think the fourth one goes back to being 15, but I'm not sure. And in America, how they stuck an R in them days is quite bizarre. I'm surprised it wasn't as an NR, where it's like even kids can't see it. In America, kids can watch R certificate films in the cinema with their parents, whereas so they could have gone and seen Pulp Fiction. Kids, that's weird, but who cares, right? So basically, Max rapes the daughter. You don't see it, but you see it see him go for her, and then not long after, she's pregnant. And there's some real cool effects with the pregnant belly.
Oh, this is halfway. Over halfway through.
Yeah. And then not long after that, she's had the baby, and there's a brief shot where you see the baby's face, and it's his face, like made almost like a puppet. But it looks just like him, and I thought that was because it was done quickly. It looks good. If you was to pause it, it would probably look terrible. But I liked that effect. I thought that was menacing, and also a bit of humour as well.
Yeah. So
the effects spot on for this year, for a low budget as well. And there's a stand-up comedian on TV that was quite funny. But the comedy wasn't; it was generic comedy, and then Max turns into the comedian on TV.
Well, I think what's happening is the main character. Sorry, I can't remember the main police guy.
Lucas.
He's being directly haunted, and it's only he who can see this thing, and he doesn't know whether he's crazy or whether this is actually happening. He's just like he's seeing it, and it's really giving him distress, and he gets the gun out and shoots the TV to get rid of it, and his family are just like, what the hell? Because they weren't seeing what he was seeing.
And these sequences remind me so much of the dream sequences in Nightmare on Elm Street, only he's daydreaming it.
Yeah.
So it's in his head. It works. And Lance Henriksen, he plays this so straight, which works as well.
Yeah.
He's a great actor, and I kind of feel bad that he never went on to become. He's well known in the horror community in cult movies. Obviously, he's in Alien and Terminator, small roles. The films he starred in never done that well.
No.
There's this. He was in Pumpkinhead. He was the main guy in that.
Yeah.
And also a really nice guy. I met him at a horror convention not long ago, and he's getting on there. But he's humour in real life. Like, he always plays these menacing cops or villains, and he was just so funny, which I thought was great. And yeah, he carries the film well. I think him and Brian James are great. And it's just my only fault with it really is. The first two are very loosely connected, but this one isn't connected at all.
It's not. You have to. Yeah. I mean, but I'm fine with that. Now if we can just quickly talk about how it actually, how the film starts. You've got this sort of black screen, and in the middle of the screen, there's a home video of the family just in the garden. I don't know if they're having a barbecue or something.
Yeah, it's like an old Super 8 film. It looks like, doesn't it?
And I thought, this is good, because that made me think of the film Sinister, because that really left an impression.
Oh, yes,
and then that flipped, and then you started seeing all the gruesome side and stuff like that. And I thought, I wonder if this is. I could tell that it wasn't going to be about the house at that point. It's about the family, and it's about this happy family, and there's going to be some sort of trauma, and then you're not sure whether the horror is just going to kick in then. And like I say, at this point, you don't know if it's supernatural. You don't know what it is. You just know that there's a protagonist and there's an antagonist. That's all you really know. There was view of him walking around the house. It's a completely different house, obviously, from any of the other house movies. It's a completely different style. But it was him walking around the house, and I think he must have heard something. He woke up in a sort of from a nightmare, and I think he heard something and went walking around the house to see what it was. I think that's probably just his normal way of coping with everything. And he's another, like the first one, he's another protagonist being haunted by something in his past, and that becomes embedded into the horror. And it's certainly more of a gory film when he enters the kitchen and sees the woman's legs sticking out of the grinder.
Yes.
And I think they were women's legs. But then, and his colleagues, it was all being fried and stuff like that. And I thought, wow, you've really just jumped right into the gore here,
Yeah, I think it works well having the gore in this sort of dream world, so to speak, because it takes away the realism of it, even though chances are he had seen these films. These murders. But if it had told the story, him catching him and then him come back, he'd have drawn it out a lot.
Yes,
and it wouldn't have been as fun.
No, with one foot in Dream, I think kind of aided because he's probably exaggerating it in his mind what he actually saw. But it's certainly, I've not seen such a relentless brutality in a long while in these films, and it hit the shock button for me, and I thought, let's see what happens here, And I was wondering at that point how it was going to tie into the house, but we've already talked. It's more about the family.
And his love is his family, which comes across well. Apart from in one bit, which does turn out to be a dream, but you don't know that. He finds his son dead, then just doesn't seem to care and goes to check if the daughter's okay with the headphones.
Yeah.
His son's been killed because he always gets headphones in, and he finds him and his ears are bleeding.
Yeah.
And he's clearly dead, but he isn't.
Yeah.
And then he goes to see the daughter, and that's when you find the pregnant daughter.
Yeah.
And that's a weird jump from almost like they're playing the joke of he's always got his headphones on that kills him, to finding a pregnant daughter. It's very dark.
Yeah.
But
then, what would you do in that situation? I don't know. It's like it's a very confusing situation.
I'd be well shocked because I haven't got a son. But I like the son character, and weirdly, they've probably thrown in for a bit of humour. He's always on the con, isn't he? He's like
Yeah.
complaining to a company, and then gets loads of free stuff. And he gets free. It's Nesquik, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
Nescafe.
and then
Nestle.
at the end of the film, a truck arrives with a load of chili because he's written to them while all this is going on. He's written to this company and said that he found a finger in some chili, and they show up with a lifetime supply of chili for him. And it ends on like the family like, "Oh, you," like a real cheesy freeze frame of them laughing.
And yeah, I mean, you're jumping to the end there, but the thing is, you're really on this ride and of seeing all this brutality and this and all of this, and I just assumed that his family were all going to be dead at the end. I actually thought it was going to be that dark, but it's like when they managed to get rid of the entity, it's like everything reset. It's like it cleared everything, and then they're back to being like a happy family. I thought, that's fine.
Yeah, it wasn't too clear about how they got rid of Max. It's like this professory type guy.
He looks a bit like Colin Farrell, didn't he?
Yeah. Who sort of comes and goes from the film. He's in the court scene at the beginning, and then sort of he knows how this works. He worked with it, and basically he's like, if you electrocute him, the electric brings him back to life, and then you can kill him. And it's really weird, but I mean, it's one of those. Who cares?
I think he was in it because he was in the film really just to sort of show that there is someone who is investigating how what's going on, and that what is the name of the bad guy in this?
Max, meat cleaver.
Okay, so Max then he's been at home training himself on his own electric chair to be more immune to it. That wouldn't happen, really. You can't do that. But in his mentality, it's like taking a tiny little bit of poison and then building up your resilience.
Yeah.
So he knew that he was going to end up in the electric chair, and he knew that he could still carry on being evil once he was dead. So he was training himself in this electric chair.
He's got an electric chair in his front room. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, it had some good ideas, and the professor wanted to help, but then he just came along and killed himself.
He's one of the many deaths in the movie. Another character I want to mention is the Doctor. A lot of the story is told through Lucas talking to his doctor about his experiences, and he's more, I assume he's a psychiatrist, to be honest, and he's played by Matt Clark, who looked really familiar. He's in Back to the Future 3 as a cowboy, basically. But he was in Candyman 2, which I spoke about in the second episode of this podcast, so that's why he looked familiar. And we know a Matt Clark, but it isn't him.
No, I don't think so.
And so another character who's sort of a familiar, if you're into your B-movie type actor, who they've put in. And nice to see these sort of good character actors in it. A few other things to mention. One of the writers took their name off it because he wasn't happy with what the studio had done, and then they changed it to the name Alan Smith, which is what they. If ever you see that spelled with a double E at the end of Smith, I think you still pronounce it Smith. I don't know, it might be Smith or whatever. That means it's not the writer. They've taken the name off it. That's like an in Hollywood thing. Most people probably know that. But I'd have been proud of this, unless it was meant to be something completely different.
You don't know. I don't know the story. I mean, I'm just thinking of those characters that you're talking about. His cop friend at the beginning, when he's so scared and he doesn't know how to get in, and he finally builds up the courage. I know we're jumping back and forwards here, but he finally builds up the courage to sort of go in. Next thing you know, he's hanging on a chain with no arms.
Yes, and I've never seen a cop in a film, apart from a silly comedy, who's so scared. Why are you a cop? Why don't you be a flower arranger or something? That guy looked familiar as well. I haven't looked at who he was, but that's showing that he's the trope, so to speak, of the cop partner's killed.
Yeah,
that happens in everything apart from Lethal Weapon. Or does it? At the beginning, it does happen in Lethal Weapon. I don't know what I'm talking
about. You know what? I've never seen Lethal Weapon.
What?
I know.
Good buddy cop film.
Yeah, well,
it's Richard Donner.
I haven't been avoiding it. I just haven't, and it's like Beverly Hills Cop. Never seen that either.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so that could be another one. But so just and well, the boyfriend. It was obvious that the boyfriend was going to get like killed.
Yeah.
It was a good balance of slash supernatural, sort of fantasy, family values. I think it's a good combination, and I honestly prefer it to the second in that respect. But second was much more fun. It's different.
Yeah. That's tonally, it's so different from the other
It
two,
is.
and yeah, that's why I've liked them all for different reasons so far. We're going to talk about 4 in a minute. We're going to watch that in a bit, but they've all worked for me on different levels.
Yeah.
And I've been like, the second one is so silly that I kind of love it. I
Yeah.
love the puppets in it and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this one, total swing. But I think the first two are their thing, and the fault of this one is it tries to be something else. It tries to be
Yeah.
what's popular at the time.
Yeah.
But you can't fault them for that. I mean, they're trying to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think there were nods to like other horror films of the time, and like we said, I think there's a bit of Prison in there. I think there's a bit of Nightmare on Elm Street. I think there's Batman and Joker
Yes.
going on,
Yeah.
and echoes of Psycho when she's in the shower. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of think that it was made by a horror fan.
Oh,
you know.
definitely, yeah.
And there's probably much more, but I would say I'd definitely rewatch it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's the same team behind the other ones. It's the same producer who basically gets these films made,
Yeah.
who done Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, Max. So I think Jenkins was. Did they call him Jenkins as well? I think so. Anyway,
Yeah.
there was one thing I want to say. He was just being a psycho. It's not clear why he had such a vendetta against Lucas.
Yeah, I think he was a mass murderer, wasn't he? And he worked there because there's a picture of him in his house. So he'd worked out he was the cop trying to get him.
I see.
So
So
he's-
it's more like just yeah.
Yeah, for it's kind of loose. But I think this is a recommendation for a fan of this era of horror. And if you like gory stuff, you're not going to come away disappointed.
Yeah.
Brutal,
Yeah.
but also light-hearted brutal, which is weird.
Yeah.
And there's a cat in it, right? There's a horrible scene where
Oh, yeah, the
I
poor
forget
cat.
the cat's name, but it was a good cat, and he comes and goes through the film. And then one scene, they find the cat dead, and you see a dead cat with all blood over it and stuff. Don't know why I just hesitated swearing. I said the F word earlier, but anyway. And then at the very end, just before all of the stuff shows up, where the kids cons, you see the cat and it survived. And
Yeah.
I love that cheesy. The end, the last scene is like the other house films.
Yes, it is. And actually, I wonder whether they decided, let's just change the ending. Let's just make it so everything's okay in the end. I
Yeah.
don't know whether maybe they did intend for it to be just a very dark.
Yeah, and it zooms in on house for sale.
Yeah.
As in, this is a house film.
Yes.
So yeah, that was cool. Ratings out of 5 from you, sir.
Ratings out of 5. Can we do points on this?
Yeah, you can. Go on.
Ratings out of 5. 3.6.
That's good. That's good.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4, but a low 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I want in a horror film, not necessarily what I want in a house film, but I came away. I enjoyed it.
Mm.
And I looked on Letterboxd, and a few years ago I'd watched this, and I gave it a glowing review. I don't know what's wrong with my memory. I don't remember writing the review. So if you find me on Letterboxd, Andy Martin 81, Andy with a double E, one word, Andy Martin 81, you'll see a review of House from a few years ago.
I'll have a look at that one.
Yeah, but everyone should follow me on that.
So on Letterboxd, can you do like a follow up?
Yeah, you can re-review it. Yeah, I've re-rated it. I couldn't be bothered to write anything else.
Yeah.
I gave it the same score, so I do that to log what I've watched and stuff.
Yeah.
You can write several reviews if you change your mind or get something out of it again.
Mm.
Okay, right. Shall we have a little bit of a pause and then watch House 4?
Yep.
And you guys, if you haven't seen House 4, pause the podcast and watch it, and then unpause it, and you can listen to us talk about it, and then you can comment, and we can have a big chat about it. Probably when I'm at work and should be working. Let's do that now. Okay. House 4. Have you watched it? Did you watch it? We just did. So, Ian, that was back to the more familiar territory of the house movie.
It was. It was. I mean, it doesn't really continue on, but it kind of does. But it was more like the pace of the other one, but not. I mean, nowhere near the quality of the soundtrack and the sort of humour. But it was amusing. Yeah, I thought. What do you think?
I thought I did enjoy it. I thought it took a while to get going. The production value is obviously lower. I did find out that the budget was just over 1.5 million, which is very low.
That is low.
Very low.
Especially for 92, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1992. So it's 3 years after the last instalment, and it goes back to the original main character of the first movie, Roger Cobb, who's now got himself a new family. No mention of it was his ex-wife in the first one, from what I remember. And he's got himself a wife and a kid. I'm not sure if it's his kid or from another relationship. The child is 12 years old, played by an actress who was 18 years old, interesting enough. But she don't look it. I'd have definitely ID'd her if she'd have come in the pub.
Yeah.
Definitely. So they are debating selling the house. It's supposed to be the same house from the original, but it clearly isn't the same house.
It's not even the same setting or anything. It's completely...
It looks different. He wants to hold on to it because his father and grandfather agreed to look after this house for reasons, probably because it's haunted. And his stepbrother wants to sell it for reasons, which are sort of a subplot in the movie. And they argue about it. And on their way home from this argument, the Cobb family have a car crash, losing Roger Cobb. So the main actor is back, and then within sort of 10 minutes of the movie,
he's gone.
He's no more. He's dead. And the car flips, which is probably half the budget. And we see this a few times in the film to get the money's worth.
Yes.
And after the accident, after the death, the mother and daughter move into the house. It doesn't really say, but it implies because he wanted to keep the house and look after it, they want to honour that. Even though the brother is still trying to get hold of the house. With his two comedy henchmen. He's got two...
Yeah, like Harry and Marv, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. And Harry and Marv, and there was two in the 101 Dalmatians as well. There's always a tall, thin one and a short, dumpy one. Comedy, well, I say comedy relief. This is much more of a comedy than part 3. It has the feel of the original 2 more. And I've just noticed that the subtitle is The Repossession, which kind of works for the house.
It does, actually.
It's not on the cover of the... Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it wasn't on the DVD cover. It is on the Blu-ray one. Now, well paced. It was only about 94 minutes. I always do the reviews. This has got a higher percentage on Rotten Tomatoes of 14%, but lower on...
I said that one before.
You did, yeah, I did. I nearly pointed that out, but I thought we'll wait. And IMDb, it's got 3.7, and the letterbox I didn't write down, but I have the page up, so let's have a look. On Letterboxd, 2.2. Ooh. And so probably the lowest reviewed, apart from Rotten Tomatoes, of the franchise. And good to get older William Catt back in the main role. We do spoilers. You do see him after he died. He does come back.
Yeah, he obviously comes back. Yeah. You know he's going to come back as like a ghost or whatever. You know? Yeah,
he comes back to save the day, so to speak. One main difference I noticed in this is the spirits in the house are on the side of the family. They're trying to... It's not clear at first, but as the film goes on, the spirit of the house is trying to fend off the evildoers who come into the house to try to get rid of them, basically. And some good effects again, clearly lower budget, but it takes a while to get any supernatural going, doesn't it?
I was thinking also it does take a while to sort of get going, but yes, the supernatural stuff, it doesn't jump straight into it.
No, but the first supernatural bit is you see his ashes on the floor, or old dead Cobb, and a hand quickly comes out of them.
Yeah.
Which, even though it looked very cheap, it was obvious there was just a hand coming through a hole in the floor. It did actually make me jump a little bit, that bit, because I think because it had been so long, I almost forgot that it was a supernatural movie.
Yeah.
And that bit kind of worked. There was a fun bit with a pizza.
Yeah.
There's a pizza delivery man shows up and does a little song and dance.
I've still got that song in my head.
Yeah, the girl has the song in her head as well. And then the wife, Kelly, sees his face on the pizza and scares her and smash it up.
And his face was kind of singing along with the girl. And the mum's like, hang on a minute, where's that coming from? And just opens it up and it's got this big old face there.
So there's a comedy there, and the effects look good, I thought. And there's a shower scene where blood comes out of the shower, another homage probably to Psycho.
Yeah, that seems to be.
And very brief nude scene. I think it's a body double for the main actress, but you weren't so sure. We had a little.
It's actually hard to
tell.
Hard to tell, really.
Yeah. And the wife who becomes the lead of the film, Kelly, is played by Terry Chiraz, who looked vaguely familiar. She's been in quite a few sort of B movies, low budget movies, but she was in the TV series Alien Nation. I don't know if you remember Alien Nation.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah,
she was in that, actually.
Yeah, that's probably where I know her from. Or I have seen this film a very long time ago, but didn't remember much. And all I really remembered was the pizza bit. And there was another sort of comedy bit earlier on with a plumber who basically comes in to sort the pipes in the house, and he does a little bit of comedy.
Worst plumber ever.
Worst, yeah. And I felt that one thing I'd have done if I could, but probably budget held back, and I bet they thought about this, was to get an actor from Cheers to have played that role.
Yeah.
Because in the first two, you've got the sort of
That
extended cameos. That would have been nice, and it would have had more to do with the original ones. But this could be just a straight sequel to the first one without the middle two.
It could, and I think if they did have that intention, like of doing this one and then doing the original and then going straight into this one, I think the budget would have been higher and they would have been able to use the same property and there would have been, but fundamentally it would have been the same sort of story through it. You know, you've got this, because it's on the like sacred land, so this Native American Ezra comes along and says, that basically your grandfather did a blood deed to make sure that this house stayed here, and Cobb and his family just completely respected that. They had no intention of selling it, and so I think they still would have been they still could have used the old house and then had it like that.
Yeah. I thought that the Native American stuff was interesting because a lot of people compared the first house to Poltergeist, and in Poltergeist 2 you bring in that same element. It was on a Native American burial ground in Poltergeist, so there's that similarity that I think House was sort of a bit of a spoof of Poltergeist, the original one. So I think they've carried that over with this, and a lot of fun in the movie. I think as it got going, there was more humour and interesting side characters, like we mentioned, the sidekicks.
Yeah.
A few things I'd like to point out. The daughter, after the accident, ends up in a wheelchair, and she actually gets cured in the end by the magic in the house. But two things. They have a yard sale and there's kids just like dancing in front of her, kind of mocking her, which I thought was pretty nasty.
That was pretty
nasty.
nasty.
The pizza man also dances in front of her. It's like she just ends up in a wheelchair and people keep dancing in front of her. That's not cool, but that's obviously accidental. And also, it doesn't show throughout the film at all how she gets up the stairs in the house. She's in a big wheelchair as well. She must get carried up. You don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, and also I had this in mind is, you know, when Cobbs died, Rogers died, and they decide, well, we're actually going to hold on to the house for now. Let's live here, and it needs a lot of work. I'm thinking, you know, this must have about 20 rooms or something, and there's all this cobwebs and old broken furniture everywhere. And she has just decided to take on this whole project and do it herself because she found a book that told her how to do it, and it's like, my goodness, woman, you I don't care who you are, that is one hell of a project.
Yeah, and she's reading a book called The Myth of Mental Health.
Yeah.
What?
I wondered that.
Yeah, that made me chuckle. It's clearly dated. Another side character is a maid shows up, a housekeeper, who we assume is paid for by her father,
Yeah.
who is played by an old character actor who was in Con Air. And interestingly enough, there's the actor who plays the stepbrothers in Con Air as well. So there's a little Con Air reference. This is, 4 or 5 years before Con Air. Just a coincidence, character actors, they do a lot of roles. Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting little fact.
Yeah, and that character, she's just kind of appears in the house, and she's got a smart jacket on, and sort of short woman, and she goes, "I'm the maid," like that. She goes, "I didn't order a maid." He said, "No, it also basically comes with the house," and then immediately you're like, "You're no maid," like that. Yeah. But as it happens, and she's fiddling like when no one's looking, fiddling around with, so she's obviously looking for something. And then, but this character, she does assume the role of like a maid and looking after the kid and stuff. But she then disappears, and you're like,
where is she?
Where's she gone? You know. I mean, she would say, what happened?
Well, yeah, I think she's a bit of a red herring. You're supposed to think she's working with the people trying to get the house, but it turns out she's working for the FBI. And at the end, arrest them. So she's undercover. So what a nice job. Going undercover and you just get to sort of maid about the place. I could do that. I could be an FBI.
Yeah.
But that's good sort of comedy relief with her. There is a lot of comedy. I think I get with this franchise, I get the impression the makers, Cunningham, wasn't it, who done Friday the 13th, produced them. And I think he directed the first one, we said. No, he didn't. He just produced it. So so it was a few weeks ago we'd done the first episode. Yeah. And I think he wanted it to be like an anthology type series of movies. Each movie, a different story set around a house.
Yeah, loosely around a
house. Yeah, a haunted house franchise. But I think even though we enjoyed, and a lot of people enjoyed the third one, it didn't do well when it came out. So they resorted to, give the fans what they want, and they want more of the same, and we'll throw in one of the main characters from the first one to get the franchise back for the fans. It's much like when Halloween was made, John Carpenter wanted to do a different movie set at Halloween every year, and the first one was so successful, when they made the second one, they had to put Michael Myers in it. That wasn't so successful, so he went back for the third and done what he intended. But Halloween 3 is just set at Halloween, nothing to do with it. People didn't like that, so then he went back. Yeah. So it's fan service in a way. Yeah. And I enjoyed this one, but I don't know. I think I might have liked more of like the third one, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah, I mean I've got my sort of list of which ones are sort of preferred, but I think if we could just jump back a second and talk about his brother, it really halfway through the film it just went silly. All the lighting was silly, and
it went cheaper.
It went cheaper, and but it was quite funny. They went into the toxic. So what happened is there's this factory nearby that has a lot of toxic waste, and they need to be able to dispose of it. And for some reason, they have to get the house knocked down in order to do that. Yeah. We don't really understand why that is, but that's the agenda. So these three guys, so his brother and the two henchmen are sort of, they put their hard hats on and go into this toxic waste place, which is a right shambles. Yeah. There's no health and safety awareness there whatsoever. And it's just quite humorous. And then they go into this sort of room where it's all sort of looks like a castle inside. It's ridiculous. And the big boss guy is this sort of, what do you call him?
Short fella.
He's a short fella, and he's wheelchair bound, and he can't breathe properly and stuff. And it just gets a bit silly from there. But it was fun.
Yeah, I mean that added some fun to it. It seemed like we'd gone into a different film. We'd gone into a Troma film, the Castle Nukem High or Toxic Avenger or something, for 5-10 minutes. But it does give reason for why, even though it's a ridiculous reason why he wants the house and why he wants to demolish it. They could have just said someone wanted to build on that land. Yeah. He needed a highway coming through or something. Yeah. But they added some comedy to it, and there's an excuse for, it's not long after the 80s and ooze was still a thing. So we got some toxic ooze in there. I thought there was a really funny little joke where there's a container that says toxic waste, and they spray paint non-toxic waste on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it brought more humour to it. As I say, it was a bit tonally different to the rest of the film, but these films are meant to be fun. So yeah, that kind of, at first I was like, this is going to work, and it did work. I like that bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it did work. But I think you just don't know. It kind of keeps changing its pace.
Yeah.
And you can't just rely on just this single string narrative. It just keeps changing, and it's just a bit of all sorts. And I think from what you said, maybe the fans, they're just ticking boxes and saying, well, they like that sort of stuff, they like this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And just bunging it all in there and just making a good soup of it, you know.
Yeah, there were some laughs as well that I don't think were intentional. When he's just died, you see the wife and her makeup has gone ridiculously everywhere, and so the mascara's dripping and it just looks stupid. It looked like just over the top and bad makeup, basically.
Yeah.
And I chuckled at that. But they also kept repeating a lot of the scenes. Like something had happened, and then they flash back to it 10 minutes later. I don't know if it's to get the time up or when they've spent money, they want to reuse things.
Footage, yeah.
Which, I've never seen a low budget film where a car flips where they don't flash back and you see it again, ever. And the car flipping bit was good. Turns out, spoiler alert, wasn't an accident. The stepbrother. I thought that all along,
Yeah.
And did you suspect that? I did.
No, but it didn't surprise me.
Yeah. And also I had seen it before, you haven't. But I didn't remember that. I didn't remember much, and that's the thing. The 1, 2 and 3, all quite memorable. This one, I still enjoyed it, but you can see why the franchise ended here. It kind of wraps things up as well, I suppose, with the first house. And fun. I'll have a look. I think it did get a cinema release, but it has got that straight to video feel.
Yeah. Oh, just have to draw another attention to that guy's apartment with all those sex dolls and stuff. What the hell was that even all about?
The stepbrother's apartment, sex dolls everywhere, and nudie pictures on the wall. 1992, ladies and gentlemen. But it was supposed to, especially it was to show that he was a sleazeball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just what the hell. And he was a sleazeball. He even wore a sleazeball type suit jacket at one point. Very, very cliched villain. All the cast were fine. The acting I don't think was as good as the original, the previous one, part 3.
Yeah.
And the main guy, William Catt, has just got a cheesy grin. He's got a soap opera face, I'd say.
Yeah.
And he was in a TV series we mentioned in the other episode, a superhero comedy. And he's only on set for 2 days, so I don't know whether a lot of the budget went on just getting him back, maybe for a bit. And also, this could have been just another story with a different family, a different character. It didn't need to be him, did it?
No, I actually don't know. I think actually by using him, you are automatically latching it onto the first film, and I think they could have chosen someone else. I mean, even if they had the same actor and then had a different name, and we just sort of say, oh well, this is like a reimagining or something.
Yeah, but no, it's still fine. It was sum it up. You get what you want. It takes a while to get going. There are funny moments, not scary in the slightest. Whereas arguably part 3 was. Few jump scares, fun effects, blood, oozy stuff. It's 1992. The 80s are over. Let's wrap up this franchise. That's kind of how it felt to me.
Yeah, I don't really have much more in my notes, really, other than what I've sort of said. It's nothing special, but really.
It has made me want to get a lamp with a dog under it.
Oh yeah, there was a dog lamp.
There was a dog lamp, which the girl really likes. The mother didn't like it. She called it ugly. Nothing dog related is ugly, woman, right? So don't ever say that. But I sounded really sexist then. I've got to stop. And so when the bungling 2 sidekick henchmen break into the house to scare them or whatever the hell they break into the house for, it comes alive. There's a real dog who attacks them, but it still has a lampshade on his head. That's my favourite scene in the movie. Not just because there's a dog in it, a dog with a lampshade on its head.
I'll tell you what, I want that dog lamp.
Yeah, everyone does. Classic dog action. So, right, we've watched them all now, and to be honest, I've enjoyed them all for different reasons. it's kind of like a sandwich. The bread being 1 and 4,
Yeah.
and the juicy filling
Yeah.
being a very different 2 and 3. Could you, firstly, what would you rate this one out of 5?
Oh, 2.4. It's quite low. Maybe 2.3.
2.3.
It's definitely around the 2. It's not. It wouldn't. It's not. Isn't it? Okay, I'll say 2.
2.
I'll say 2.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was going that way for me, but I think the last half of the film and the dog appearance saved it. I thought the main actress was really good, carried the film well. Cheesy moments let it down a little bit. I'm giving it a low 3.5.
Okay.
I like this franchise, and I did like that it kind of, when I think about it, I like that it's wrapped it up this way. The franchise now feels complete.
Yeah.
So yeah, a 3.5, but a low 3.5.
That is pretty high.
Yeah, well,
It makes me want to add another couple of points on mine. 2.3. You know what I mean.
If you give it 2.3, it's higher than Letterboxd, so therefore,
really?
I'd say stick with that because it got 2.2 on Letterboxd.
Okay,
it's definitely better than 14%.
Yeah.
I actually gave it out of 5, pretty much the same as what IMDb have given it out of 10. But that's me. I like this sort of stuff. So, did you want to? I'll let you go first. Rank the franchise from favourite to least favourite in order.
Yeah, I think it's like you say. It's that sandwich. I think House 1.
Yeah.
Solid, good with humour, balance, good effects. And then I'm going to jump straight to 3. I thought it was a good action film. No, it wasn't really about the house, but I just thought it was a good sort of. It was a good take on that sort of like franchise. And then House 2, which is really fun as well. They're close. They're very close, those two. But I'm afraid House 4 has got to be the last.
Yeah.
So I would say then 1, 3, 2, and 4.
1, 3, 2, 4. I'm not going to differ far from that. I think personally, you got to go 1. One is actually a cult classic. The cast are great. You got Norm, haven't you? You got George Wendt, which is, and it's fast paced. A lot goes on it, and the effects are great. So I'm going 1. It's very close, but I'm going to go 2 because I like the silliness. I like the creatures in it.
Yeah.
Just as a fun, campy film, really.
I get it.
Part 2.
Yeah, it is very close.
Then 3, which this is very difficult. 3 is as good as part 2. I just think part 2's got the more rewatchable value because of the silliness.
Understood.
And part 3 is, I hate to say it, part 3 is a proper film. Do you know what I mean? And it's definitely the best acting in all of them.
Yeah.
And then part 4, fun, but I think it's all already been done. That's the problem with part. And clearly, nothing wrong with a low budget film. You can't magic up money. But the lack of budget shows in this.
Yeah.
So that's my rating. 1, 2, 3, 4. So and I will say as well, I would recommend all these movies to anybody who likes horror, especially comedy horror. And you can watch any of them. You don't need to have seen any of them to see the other ones, really. Even part 4.
Yeah, they can stand alone as well. Yeah.
I just mentioned how great the 80s and 90s
I know.
were. And this is the first in this podcast, because we've got sort of 12, 13 episodes up there, but it's still relatively new because we're doing them quick. This is the first franchise we've completely finished now. We're still going through the transfers ones, and Phantasm, there were more of those movies. I just want to say thanks. Thanks for coming on and talking about them.
Oh, you're welcome. Really enjoyed it.
But you got the box set, but you'd only seen the first 2, so it's a good one.
I've seen them now, and like I say, that third one for me does have rewatch value. I will.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that I think they've all got rewatch value, but I like the second one for it's daft. You could put that one on you could have it on background and look up and see the craziness of it, and all really good, and I'd say underrated. Get yourselves, if you can, there's a box set on Blu-ray, Arrow release, which got loads of special features. Just before I came out today, I watched an interview with Kane Hodder on part 3. And if you're a film nerd, get on it. And we're going to, at some point, Ian's going to come back. We've already discussed it. We don't know what yet. But if you've got any suggestions for horror franchises or remakes, or even just one-off films, we can do that. There's no reason why not. Horror or sci-fi. Get in contact through the Facebook or Instagram, and if it's something that catches your eye, let's get on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Your feedback.
I do think that us two should complete the RoboCop one as well and do 2 and 3. It might be hard work.
It will be hard work.
Because RoboCop 3, well, I've only seen it once and it took me 3 attempts to get through it.
Yeah,
which is
we may sidecar that one at a later date.
Yeah, part 2 needs to be done, definitely.
Yeah,
because that's a classic, and you saw that before the first one as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I saw the second one before I saw the first one.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks very much for everyone for listening. I'm not going to do an outro properly. I'm just going to say it now. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. I think a lot of people go on YouTube and think you're gonna see us. It's not. It's just the audio. So don't get disappointed that you don't see our faces.
You don't want to see that anyway.
Yeah, no. My face is designed for podcasts. We'll be back very soon for another episode of Beyond Graves and Stars. Once again, thanks for listening. I just want to give a big shout out to the Talking Sleeve, James Howard, for doing all our music and interludes. Basically, everyone who's listened so far and everyone who's been on the show. Much more than I even mentioned in that coming up. So stick with Beyond Graves and Stars.